Tonight on First at 9. This Tuesday, the 18th of June 2024. Heated. Parliament heats up as President Ranil Wickremesinghe criticises the Supreme Court's verdict on the Gender Equality Bill. Government to introduce new laws for cremation rights. Miscommunication. Clauses under the proposed Sri Lanka Telecommunications Amendment Bill inconsistent with the Constitution, determines the Supreme Court. Demonstrations. Water cannons and tear gas fired as unemployed youth attempt to march towards the Parliament. Energy transformation. Asian Development Bank signs a $50 million commitment to the Asia Climate Transition Fund to address the impacts of climate change in Asia and the Pacific.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9 with Indivadi Amuwata. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us tonight on First at 9 with the very latest from across Sri Lanka and around the world. We take you straight to your top stories making headlines tonight. Parliament heated up following President Ranil Wickremesinghe's remarks on the Supreme Court determination on the Gender Equality Bill, where the head of state highlighted that the determination violates the power of Parliament. The President is of the view that a parliamentary select committee has to be appointed to look into the matter without summoning the Supreme Court justices before Parliament. However, the President's statement came under heavy criticism as opposition members highlighted that his remarks made under the guise of parliamentary privileges are setting a bad precedent. Meanwhile, the President also noted that the proposed imputed rental income tax will not be imposed on a person's first property. He emphasized that this tax is aimed at high net income earners, not ordinary income earners, assuring that it will not affect those earning a normal income.
You have read out the decision on the Gender Equality Bill. I just want to raise a point of order that it violates the powers of this House under Article 4 of the Constitution, and we should appoint a select committee. There has been a national policy on women's empowerment and gender equality since 2011. These are obligations of the government under the Sustainable Development Goals 5 and a number of women's conventions and agreements that we have signed. Then they are saying that this will allow same-sex marriages and gender this thing. No, it has nothing to do with it. And I am going to recommend that a select committee be appointed to go into it. There are no need to summon the judges. I don't think we should go into that. And majority of the members should be appointed by the Women's Caucus.
If the President or the Prime Minister can challenge any determination given by the Supreme Court on a draft bill, then what is the point of the public challenging any bill before the Supreme Court?
The President made this statement inside the Parliament and not the Presidential Secretariat because of the special immunity that all of us receive while speaking in Parliament. However, I believe that the President as the executive is committing wrongdoing by making statements inside the legislature.
Your concerns are valid, but the route that you are taking, we are a little concerned about. If you go to appoint select committees for each and every determination by the Supreme Court, there will be a confrontational part. May I suggest that the bill be represented, maybe with some changes or without changes, and the Parliament can request the Supreme Court to have a fuller bench to consider it again.
Honorable Charita Herath had questioned why I should be in Parliament. Very clear in Article 32 that the President can come to Parliament and now once in 3 months. And now I have every power and privilege other than a vote.
We have to question whether we are going to maintain the power we possess or not. People possess sovereignty. The President and the Parliament too possess sovereignty. In this case, both the President and the Parliament are together. The judiciary is empowered by Parliament. I do not want to interfere in this.
Further, President Wickremesinghe also commented on the proposed property tax and a new law that would allow the right to burial, cremation or gifting of remains to medical institutions.
There has been a lot of discussion and heartburn about the burials and what took place during COVID-19. Initially, all countries sort of stopped burials and then it went to the WHO. But in Sri Lanka, we appointed a committee, and unfortunately, that committee recommended that we don't allow burial, while WHO took a different view. But then the Supreme Court also upheld the decision of the committee, so the government had to follow that. There was no choice at that stage. But now all this is over, and as we've gone through everything, in this country any person should have the right to determine whether he is buried or he or she is buried, cremated or given to the medical faculty. Therefore the minister will bring a law which allows the right of burial, right of cremation or gifting your body to the medical institutions. I just want to tell the House in regard to the rental income, we are going to have a wealth tax, and there will be a very high threshold. So 90% of the people's houses will not even be, one house will be exempt from it, so don't worry, your house is safe. Why is it we are going to rental income? No, this was based on rating. Then we came up with a problem, rates belongs to the provincial council. So if we go on the rating business, there is a possibility that the court can say this money belongs to the provincial council. So we want to get it here. So we have used a different formula called rental income. Your income tax belongs to the central government. It's the same. You would generally have used the ratings, but to get over the constitutional issue that we have done this, but it's going to have a very high threshold, and I don't think the vast majority of the people in this country should even be worried about their house. So that's all, but we will have to get on to wealth tax. I know SJB is very, very worried that their billionaires who are with them will get a tax, but nevertheless, this is the reason for it.
Instead of imposing more taxes, our proposal for this bankrupt country is that we are ready to support any program that strengthens tax collection and administration. Further, those who have not been included in the tax net have to be included. Why were 100 billion rupee tax concessions granted to prominent businessmen? 4,200 people have evaded the payment of over 10 million rupees worth of taxes.
එතුමා සංඛ්‍යාලේඛනක මම හිතන්නේ සංඛ්‍යාලේඛන හරි කියලා කොහොම හරි මම කරුණු ටික එතුමාට ලබලා දෙන්නම්.
Less sugar, same great taste. From Melbourne.
The Supreme Court has determined that several clauses of the Sri Lanka Telecommunications Amendment Bill are inconsistent with the Constitution. Announcing the Supreme Court determination in Parliament today, Speaker of Parliament Mahindayapa Abewardena said that as per the court's ruling, the clauses in question require a special majority in Parliament to be passed. However, the Speaker, quoting the determination, added that if the contentious clauses are amended, they can be passed with a simple majority.
On the 1st of January this year, the Cabinet decided to amend the Sri Lanka Telecommunication Regulatory Act No. 25 of 1991 in a bid to include provisions that would allow legal action, including fines and imprisonment, to be taken against those who misuse mobile communication methods. Later, the draft bill, which was prepared to amend the Telecommunication Regulatory Act, received clearance from the Attorney General, and on the 1st of May, the Cabinet of Ministers approved its publication in the Government Gazette, following which the bill was presented to Parliament for approval. The amended bill proposes fines of up to 100,000 rupees and potential disconnection of telephone services for those persistently causing annoyance or inconvenience without a reasonable excuse. The bill also provides provisions for harsher penalties for those found deliberately inciting public unrest through their communications, with possible fines reaching 1 million rupees or even imprisonment, alongside daily fines of 1,500 rupees for ongoing offences. However, several parties of interest challenged the bill before the Supreme Court, arguing that it violates their fundamental rights. On the 28th of May, the country's apex court concluded the hearing of petitions filed against the Telecommunication Regulatory Amendments Bill, and its determination was forwarded to the Speaker of Parliament. At the parliamentary session today, the Supreme Court determination on the bill was announced by Speaker Mahindayapa Abewardena.
Clause number 8, proposed section 9A(2) of the bill is inconsistent with Article 12(1) of the Constitution. However, the inconsistency shall cease if word may be replaced with the word shall, as set out in the determination of the Supreme Court. Clause number 9 of the bill is inconsistent with Article 12(1) of the Constitution and only can be passed with special majority required under paragraph 2 of the Article 84. However, the inconsistency shall cease if clause is amended as set out in the determination of the Supreme Court. Clause number 12, proposed section 1710 of the bill is inconsistent with Article 12(1) of the Constitution and can only be passed with the special majority of Parliament required under Article 84(2). However, the said inconsistency shall cease if clause is amended as set out in the determination of the Supreme Court. Clause number 13, proposed section 17A(1) and 17B of the bill are inconsistent with Article 12(1) of the Constitution and can only be passed with the special majority of the Parliament required under Article 84(2). However, the said inconsistency shall cease if clause is amended to set out in the determination of the Supreme Court.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Several protest actions were initiated across Colombo today, urging the government to provide solutions to concerns raised by the trade unions. Water cannons and tear gas were fired at protesting unemployed graduates as they attempted to march towards the entry road to Parliament at the Puldua Junction.
The United Unemployed Graduates Association launched a protest this afternoon in front of the Dieta Uena roundabout, demanding employment opportunities for unemployed graduates. The protesters highlighted that nearly 40,000 graduates are currently unemployed. Riot police intervened to disperse the protesters as they attempted to march towards the entry road to Parliament at the Puldua Junction. Subsequently, police fired tear gas and water cannons at the protesting unemployed graduates. Meanwhile, the ongoing trade union action launched by university non-academic staff continued today at Lotus Road in Colombo Fort. However, police, the riot control unit and the Navy prevented the protesters from marching towards the Ministry of Finance. Several representatives of the University Trade Union Joint Committee were permitted to hold a discussion with the Deputy Director General of the Finance Ministry. Discussions were also held between the protesting non-academic staff and the chairman of the University Grants Commission. In the meantime, the United National Organization of Public Service Retirement Societies also launched a protest this morning near the Puldua intersection over several demands.
Now taking you to politics. Tonight on the news, the General Secretary of the United National Party assures that the party's victory in the upcoming presidential election. During an event at the UNP headquarters, Sirikota, today, he said that the majority of the members who left the party in year 2019 have rejoined and that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has secured the support of the majority of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
The National People's Power, which has started its presidential election campaign, thinks they have already won the election. It is not that easy. The winning candidate must secure 7 million votes. The number of registered voters in the country is 17.1 million. If we assume that only 80% of them will use their votes, 40 million votes will be cast. Out of that, the winning candidate must secure 7 million votes. The NPP needs to secure an additional 6.5 million votes in order to win. The SJB is also said to be on a journey towards victory. When Sajith Premadasa was with us, he was able to get 5.4 million votes. After leaving us, it will be 2.4 million. The majority of those who left us have come back to join hands with us again. 6.9 million people voted for the SLPP. The majority of them are now with President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
ලබන මාසේ 14 ඇමරිකා එක්සත් ජනපදයෙන් නඩුව අහන්න තිබෙනවා සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ නැති රටේ කොහොමද මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳගන්නේ කියලා.
On the 15th of July, Sri Lanka must appear before a US court to answer how we are going to repay their debt. I'm sure President Ranil Wickremesinghe will overcome that challenge successfully as well. He presented the new economic transformation bill to Parliament. Through that, he has made it mandatory to achieve 5% economic growth by the year 2027, 5 years after the country became bankrupt. It is President Ranil Wickremesinghe who can transform Sri Lanka into a powerful country in Asia as well as in the world by 2048.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහයි කියලා මම ඔබට මතක් කරන්න කැමතියි මිත්‍රවරු.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ දීර්ඝ වශයෙන් කතා කරා කාන්තාවන්ගේ සමානත්වය ලබා දෙන කෙටුම්පත ගැන මගේ මතය අනුව ඒ සඳහා ඒ අරමුණ ඉෂ්ට කරන්න කිසිම ආයතනයකට බාධා කරන්න බෑ අධිකරණයක් බෑ විධායකටයක් බෑ ව්‍යවස්ථාදායකටයක් බෑ.
Also in politics, independent parliamentarian and member of the Sarva Jana Balaya, Professor Channa Jayasumana, says that their alliance will be the deciding factor in Sri Lankan politics in the next 20 years. He made these comments while addressing the maiden rally of Sarva Jana Balaya Alliance today. Meanwhile, leader of the Maubima Janata Party, Dilip Jayavira, said the Sarva Jana Balaya is ready to make any sacrifice to ensure that the people do not suffer further.
The maiden political rally of the Sarva Jana Balaya Alliance was held at the Open Air Theatre in Nugegoda under the theme Repowering the Aspirations of 6.9 million people.
All of you love this country. That is why all of you joined hands with a nationalist leader who said that the country is first. However, those leaders have left politics after appointing people who we worked against into power.
මව්බිම පාවා දීමට එරෙහිව තනතුරු අත්තල රට වෙනුවෙන් පරිත්‍යාග කරන්න සූදානම් බව ක්‍රියාවෙන් ඔප්පු කළ වීරයන් පිරිසකුයි අද මේ වේදිකාවේ.
දැනුත් තවමත් අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල
There are groups of parliamentarians who are with either Ranil or Sajith. We do not know the exact allegiance of the other members. If they love the country, they have no political power other than the Sarva Jana Balaya.
මේ සර්ව ජන බලය හැර වෙන කඳවුරක් නෙවෙයි.
මතක තියාගන්න මිත්‍රවරුනි. ඊළඟ ජනාධිපතිවරණේ
Please keep in mind that it will be us who decide who the next president will be. During the next 20 years, Sarva Jana Balaya will be the deciding factor in Sri Lanka politics. No one can change that.
Right after the formation of the Sarva Jana Balaya, the government is planning to postpone the elections. They are planning to postpone the elections by another 2 years following a referendum. They are also looking at the possibility of postponing the elections by obtaining a parliamentary majority. We urge the president not to postpone the election like the local government elections.
ප්‍රතිවාදී මහත්තුරුනි හීන දකින්න එපා මේ සැබෑ දේශමාමක ජාතික බලවේගයේ මේ ගමන ජයග්‍රහණයෙන් මිස කෙලවර කරන්නේ නැහැ. මේ රට මේ විදියට වැටෙන්නට ඉඩ දෙන්න බෑ.
We cannot let the country collapse like this. The time has come for us to make sacrifices. That is why we are here. We cannot let the people suffer anymore. What we have to tell the group, including Ranil, Basil and Sajith, who are planning to resurrect the country, is that all of you are the same. However, we are different. All of you are not gathered here to witness a traditional political rally.
අද ඔබ ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නේ සාම්ප්‍රදායික දේශපාලන රැස්වීමකට නෙමෙයි.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Freedom Party acting chairman Nimal Siripal de Silva is of the view that the former president Maithripala Sirisena disregard the party's senior members by appointing Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa as the party's chairman. Addressing an event today, the SLFP acting chairman said former President Sirisena's irresponsible actions resulted in the present crisis of the SLFP.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena acted irresponsibly during his chairmanship. How can we move forward as a party while he is the chairman? What did he do? He disregarded us who actually worked towards the betterment of the party and appointed Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa as the SLFP chairman instead. Vijayadasa is not even a member of this party. Sirisena initially said that he does not have any connection with members who support the incumbent government and even urged us to resign from our current positions in the government. However, he appointed the minister of this government as the chairman of the SLFP. He is a member of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. We are the members of the SLFP.
Welcome back, taking you to business news. The Asian Development Bank has signed a $50 million commitment to the Asia Climate Transition Fund operated by the global sustainable infrastructure investor Actis to address development challenges arising from the impacts of climate change in Asia and the Pacific. The Director General of Private Sector Operations of the ADB, Susan Gaburi, said that the investments are expected to accelerate efforts to build climate-resilient infrastructure in Asia and the Pacific region.
In a statement, the Asian Development Bank said the $50 million commitment to the Asia Climate Transition Fund is expected to help accelerate the transition to clean energy and address development challenges arising from the impacts of climate change in Asia and the Pacific. The Regional Development Bank said the fund will invest in renewable energy, energy solutions and sustainable transportation companies. Investment size will typically range from $50 million to $200 million per company. The ADB Director General for Private Sector Operations, Suzanne Gaburi, said that several Asian economies are vulnerable to rising sea levels, extreme weather events and biodiversity losses. She added that the bank's investment will help address the vulnerabilities by advancing efforts to build climate-resilient infrastructure and adopt climate-smart technologies in Asia and the Pacific. The companies that the fund will invest in are expected to create net zero plans that align with the Paris Agreement and commit to a credible pathway to reduce emissions. The investment by the ADB also includes the adoption of a gender lens investing approach to enhance gender-inclusive practices in investee companies.
The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Southern Gujarati Chamber of Commerce and Industry with the hope of enhancing cooperation between Sri Lanka and the business community of South Gujarat in India. Issuing a statement, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce said that the Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry has direct engagement with over 12,000 members and maintains indirect ties with more than 200,000 members via 150 associations. South Gujarat's commercial and economic centre, Surat, is ranked the world's 4th fastest growing city with a GDP growth rate of 11.5%. The city also hosts several Fortune 500 corporations. Taking you to the Colombo Stock Exchange, shares closed in negative territory today, weighed down by losses in real estate and communication services shares, with turnover crossing 1.8 billion rupees. The benchmark all-share price index settled 0.41% lower at 12,260, extended its run of losses for a 4th straight session. Trading volume on the CSE's benchmark index declined to 38.7 million shares from 44.8 million in the last session. The benchmark index traded while the more liquid S&P SL 20 index edged down 0.64% to close at 3,621. Market turnover rose to 1.84 billion rupees today. Foreign investors were net buyers, purchasing stocks worth 715.4 million rupees. And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Good night.